Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about the Thief's Trinket. We're going to be min-maxing it and showing off how this thing is going to take your heist loot to the next level. So I've tested a bunch of things with this and I've kind of dug into exactly what each of the mods do, and I think all of this information is going to be massively invaluable to you guys in picking which trinket you want. And at the end of this, you should kind of have an idea of what you're looking to go for, you know, kind of like what you're aiming for in the very end game, and you know, exactly what it's doing. So this is my one here. And in order to equip a Thief's Trinket, all you'll need to do is unlock the Trinket slot by doing a blueprint that could award a trinket. And it says it on the description of the blueprint, so just check it out. I think I might have one here. Let's take a look. Yeah, Thieves Trinkets or currency. So if you did a blueprint like this, there should be a little interactable in the main last room, which will unlock the Trinket slot for you to whack one in here. So as you can see here, mine has 2% chance to receive additional Abyss items when opening a reward chest, and then it also has 9% chance for ults to turn into chaos, and 25% chance for jewelers to turn into fusings. So right off the bat, there is quite a bit of interesting stuff going on here. A lot of conversions, a lot of extra stuff, and this is going to be very important because there's also lots of different tiers of these mods, and all mods were not created the same. So in order to evaluate these, I basically whipped up, of course, a spreadsheet, which we'll dive right into now. And this is all of the mods that can roll on a Thief's Trinket, which is pretty cool indeed. We're going to run through them. We're going to talk a little bit about them and why I think they're both good and bad. And this will give you an idea of what to go for and what to kind of pick if you're looking for a reward of a Thief's Trinket as well, and what might sell well. So right off the bat here, we have two ones listed in blue. So these two mods are very interesting because they apply to your maps as well as your heists. So you can see here, it says monsters have X% chance to duplicate dropped road markers. So it goes from all the way from 6 to 10%. So that's quite a big range for the tiers. So if you've got a 10% chance to duplicate the road markers, it's just, I'm pretty sure, just going to drop 2 stacks. So if you dropped 50, you basically get an effective 55 because it's got a 10% chance to drop another stack of 50, but you're only going to get it 1 in 10 times. Additionally, you have Smuggler's Caches have an X% chance to duplicate the contained road markers there as well. So generally, the Smuggler's Caches have around 3 to 4 stacks of road markers in them. So again, that's 10% more. This stat is significantly worse in my opinion than the top one here, but they're both good. And if you're a mapper, you're probably going to want to rock a trinket with both of these mods on them so that you get more road markers and more bang for your buck in your mapping. So if you're mapping, you're probably going to want these. I'm going to pick up a 10-10 one eventually as well for when I'm mapping so that I get more markers. Definitely worth grabbing because markers can be sold to other players, and I imagine they're actually going to be going up in price as we discover more about the league. But yeah, pretty sweet. If you're a mapper, definitely look out for these. And if you see these two mods together, it might be worth cracking that Thief's Trinket open and selling it to some other players or using it yourself. Next up, we got a big slab of red mods here. So we have X% chance for heists to drop currency which is duplicated. Now the reason this is red, even though it's a pretty good mod, is that you can get this on a lot of other road items, and it's like, instead of 3%, it's like 20%. So you really don't want to be wasting one of your really valuable Thief's Trinkets, Prefixes or Suffixes on something which is a fraction as good on, you know, like a much less important piece of gear. So definitely don't want to be going for this one just because the stats are so low. Next up, we have increased Rarity and Quant. These might look good on the surface, and maybe if you're playing in like a 6-man MF group in heists, which maybe is a thing, I'm not sure, they would be good. But if you're playing solo, I would say about 99% of your loot is going to come from chests, and to my knowledge, quantity does not affect the chests. So in my opinion, these stats are a no-go, and you're going to want to look for other things here to replace them with. Next up, we got a bunch of kind of weird, wacky, obscure mods. Chance for items to drop corrupted. You probably might want that, maybe, but it's going to corrupt stuff like maps and uniques. Like, let's say you get like a void battery and it corrupts it. That would suck. And it doesn't really add too much value either, in my opinion. You got the kind of off chance of getting a 6 link, but really, is that good? Not sure, because you'd have to do armor chests, for example. And you probably don't want to be doing armor chests anyway to get like the 6 socket and all that kind of stuff like that. So I don't think this mod is very good. It's got a very low value as well. So moving on. Next, identified items. You actually probably don't want that either unless you've got some sort of special loot filter. So we'll move right along from that one. Dropping with an initial socket. This would pair quite well with the one below here, fully linked. But again, I don't think it's that powerful because you need to roll a 5% chance to get an extra socket, taking it from like a 5 to a 6 or something like that. And then you need to roll a 3% chance to fully link it. So the question is here, every 6 socket you drop, just think about how many 6 sockets you drop in a map. Do you want 3 out of 100 of them to be fully linked? And it's only 6 sockets from chests. Probably not going to be too much currency return when you compare it to some of the other mods here. So again, both of these are in red. Similarly, we got Shaper and Elder, 1% each. That doesn't seem very good. Let's say you get 200 items. Is 2 random Shaper and Elder items really good? Probably not. So let's get to the good stuff then. Moving on. So we've got chance for Transmutes to drop as Alchemies. This is an insane mod, but it's actually decent. You know, early on, especially in the first week of the league, you can get quite a lot of Alchemies and stuff like that by converting Transmutes. So it goes all the way up to 6 to 7% here, which is definitely not bad. And it's not, you'll welcome this. If it's there, it's good. If not, you know, not too bad. Next up, similarly, Transmutes to Chaos. This one's a lot more appealing. So because it's straight to chaos, which is really, really nice currency to have. So again, in yellow, but it's again, not too insane because the percentages are so low. This one though, however, 25% chance to convert alterations to alchemies. That is definitely pretty nice. So 1 in 4 alts will become alks, which is pretty sweet. Similarly, again, we've got alts to chaos. 15% chance for alts to chaos is quite good in my opinion. Also very, very common, and converting 15% of them is sweet. Converting 1% of them to regals though, however, is not sweet at all. So very, very bad mod there, but definitely good on the chaos. Next up, we got the same kind of deal but with augments and at lower values. So I think these are significantly worse because of those lower values than the alteration ones, but you know, not too bad if that's on your trinket. And if you can pick these up, it will get you a little bit more currency in the long run. Again, the regal one for some reason is at 1%, but you know, moving on. So let's get to the big heavy hitters, shall we? We've got Chaos Orbs to Divine and Exalt. So when I was looking up mods on these trinkets on the trade website, these were not actually searchable. So I'm not sure if these mods exist at all, or you know, whether they are just like deleted. So yeah, it's kind of up in the air. But however, I can guarantee you that the following 2 mods do exist. And the reason I can guarantee you is because I dropped a trinket with both of them on there. However, I died to a bug in Heist. And if anyone's really salty about dying with stuff, check out this death, guys. Look what I died with. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I flipped out when I died with this one, and it was all because of the bug, which has the sneaking one around the wrong way, so I had to try and flame dash through it. So yeah, feels bad, man, but yeah, don't feel too bad if you die. Anyway, back to mods here. These are completely insane. So a 4% chance for regals to drop as exalts. So if you just assume the price of exalts right now, which is a 100 chaos around about, and a regal is half the price of a exalt. So this actually reads, increase, I think, regal prices by 2,000. So it's like 2,000% more regals if you actually think about how it works. No, it's actually more than that, actually, because it's 4%. Essentially, this is completely insane. You're going to get a ton more exalts when you're doing currency chests, and it stacks up insanely with other modifiers on other rogue gear, like duplicating currency chests and then having the chance to get regals. It's completely insane. And every endgame kind of heister is probably going to have a trinket with both of these on it, preferably the highest stats, of course, but these are going to be bread and butter for when you're doing your heisting, and it's going to be tons and tons of exalts. Wouldn't surprise me if you get an exalt per fully populated blueprint just from these mods, or at least an exalt or a divine. Very, very powerful, and it's going to be part of the chase item, which is why I'm so salty that I lost my chase item on day one. Anyway, moving on. We've got some in yellow here. So we've got a Nullman Orbs. Now, these would be good, but the values are just so low. 1%, so 1 in every 100 scours as an annul, or 1 in every 100 regrets as an annul. These aren't very good because annuls just really aren't worth much in the first place, and the value is incredibly low. This one here isn't too bad, 25% chance to drop scours as regrets. Scours aren't necessarily rare, but they're definitely not super common like alterations, and regrets aren't worth more than a chaos generally ever, so it's just a medium tier mod. You wouldn't hate that you got it, but it isn't amazing at all either. Next, chromes to jewelers. Well, you hide them both on your filter generally, so this one's a blank. Next, I actually have these in purple, chromes to fusings and jewelers to fusings. So the reason I've got them in purple here is A, they're an incredibly high percentage, very, very high at 30% each, and B, chromes and jewels are very, very common. And additionally, fusings generally go up in price towards the end of the week of week 1, and they stay around 1 to 2. 1 chaos buys 2 fusings for a while, depending on the economy. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, they should be very good mods to have, just behind the ones over here, in my opinion. So very, very strong indeed. Now, one thing to note though is, I've had these mods on for a little bit here, like I've tested them, and you might think that when you drop a stack of 8 jewelers, I don't know if you guys have experienced that in heists, that it might convert it fully to fusings. So I've run a lot of heists, I'm not sure how many here, but a lot with that mod. You can see I got 25% chance here, and I haven't had that happen once, and it should happen eventually because it's 1 in 4. But yeah, I've run a ton and it hasn't happened. So I think that there's probably something going on there. Not sure what, but I don't think that those stacks convert. So definitely keep that in mind when you're considering which mod you want to go for. So moving on, that's prefixes. Which prefixes are the best? Of course, you're looking to get these 2 big daddies here. They are the absolute best ones you could probably get. But you could take a mix of them. So the best one is definitely the Exalt one. This plus any of the other green or purple ones, or maybe even a yellow one if you want, is going to be big cash. Again, if you just want to like kind of mix and match them, you could take a double fusing one. You know, you could go for a divine one. It's going to be significantly worse than the Exalt one, of course, but it is still pretty good. Basically, any purple or green ones in your prefixes. And if you're a mapper, take a double blue one. That's all that really matters to you. Moving on to suffixes. Okay, here's what I was talking about. Chance to duplicate contained currency. So this is actually, again, on followers in much higher amounts. You can get like 10, 20%, which is really, really good per follower as well. So it goes up to like 60% in blueprints, which is very, very good. But here it's in red because it's just such a low value. Percent chance to contain more valuable uniques. So this potentially could be a massively sleeper mod at 10%. I'm not sure what this does, but I'm sure someone will test it, whether it's me or someone else, it doesn't matter. But later on, when we get into like fracturing blueprints and all the stuff like that, where you can pinpoint having like tons of unique chests, this might be an insane mod. Maybe you're just like rolling headhunters out of the chest or something like that. I'm not sure, but it could be incredibly powerful. That's why I couldn't rate it, because I don't know what it does. Moving on, we have kind of like all of the Garbo mods here. Now, the important thing here is it says chance to receive an additional something when opening a reward chest in a heist. So I've run quite a lot of heists with these mods, and here is my take on how this works. So this does not work on the little footlockers. You know how there's like 20 footlockers in the map? It doesn't work on those. This is only ever procced for me on pure reward chests. So the ones marked like currency, essence, and all that kind of stuff like that. I've visually seen stuff drop from it because of that, and I haven't seen it drop from anything else. So I'm pretty sure, like 100%, that it's only the icon chests, which definitely makes these a lot worse than if it was obviously the footlockers. However, I still think these are completely insane. Maybe even on the level of the exalted stuff like here, they're that good. So why are they that good? So when these things roll, and they roll the loot, it's my kind of opinion and like kind of observation that they actually roll a full chest. So let's say that you were doing like a blueprint and you opened an armor chest and you managed to roll your 3% chance at a blight chest reward. It's essentially like you were opening an armor and a blight chest, and you get both of those loot explosions. And I think that the chance to like get additional loot from blight rewards and all that stuff that you can get on followers should apply to this. So that's actually completely insane when you're doing blueprints, and this is going to be a ton of value that you can extract out of opening all of those chests. So really, really insane, and I think that these are going to be completely broken. With that in mind though, I have rated a lot of these red just because they're not really worth too much. Stuff like armor, weapons, jewelry, gem, etc. isn't going to be too hot. Stuff like divination cards is very good though. I have uniques here in red. If it has an interesting interaction with this, it might come up a tier, or very, very much so. It might go way up a tier, but we'll just have to see how that pans out. Now, the reason div cards are so good is because it has such a high percentage. It has 7 to 8. It's almost 10% chance to proc at tier 1. So very, very strong. 1 in 10 of those chests, and you're probably going to get about 30 of them in a fully unveiled blueprint. So you're going to get 3 procs of this. So it's an additional 3 divination card chests when you think about it that way, which is pretty cool. Very, very strong indeed. We've got Breach, of course. Basically, it's going to follow in line like which Delirium Orbs are really good. It's going to kind of follow trend. So Breach, Legion, Blight, Harbinger, Delve. I can confirm that this does drop beachheads, and I do believe that's where infused beachheads are coming from this league as well. So pretty cool in my opinion. Blight also does drop blighted maps fairly often. If I had to ballpark, it's about a half-half, and it of course drops oils as well. Delve drops fossils and resonators, so you can actually get resonators this time. RIP Delve boys. But yeah, pretty good. Legion seems to drop splinters and incubators. And of course, Metamorph drops purely catalysts. Delirium I have in yellow here. This may be a mistake, but it does drop Delirium Orbs as well as Simulacrum Splinters, and it drops Cluster Jewel bases. So this could be insane at item level 83 and above. Absolutely, this could be the best one, but the reason I put it in yellow here is because it's only 2%. So it's literally 50% less chance to occur than some of the other mods, which is quite a lot in my opinion. So let's look at the suffixes. What are we looking at here? So if you want to kind of do a bit of science, you could go for the combo of unique, valuable uniques plus uniques proccing. That could be very, very strong. Divination cards is going to be a pure win because you get just a ton of stacked decks and div cards. Of course, any combination of the other ones is going to be very powerful as well. Now, if you're looking to really push things like min-max to the extreme, let's get into that. So we know kind of like what a decent trinket is on early, get some alterations to chaos, all that kind of stuff like that. Maybe get some good suffixes for opening up some more reward chests and stuff like that. Now, if you want to push it though, and you want to invest in the end game, let me tell you guys what I'm thinking. So what you're going to be doing in the end game is most likely fracturing a blueprint with as many rewards of the same type as you can. And the reason for that is because followers can have items which have a chance to duplicate a specific reward type. So you can see here, this one has Legion Splinters. So if you stack that on all 3 of your guys, you're probably going to get up to the region of 60 to 50% chance to duplicate that reward from those chests. And if you've already got like 20 chests in there, and you've got chance to proc additional chests from your Thieves Trinket, you can see how all this is starting to get really, really out of control. So depending on what fracturing blueprint base you have in the very end game, that will dictate which trinket you're going to want to get early as well. But that's kind of maybe a bit forward thinking. Just try and get a really cool trinket for farming some of those heists in the meantime. We'll get into the min-maxing stuff later. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. It's been a pretty fun one to try and figure out. I'll link the spreadsheet in the description below. Plenty more videos to come today. And it's going to be explaining some of the other stuff in that spreadsheet as well. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Get out there and start getting those trinkets, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.